Okay, so we're going to look at the bones of the hand. Okay, and we're going to break it down by category first. Then we're going to get into the specific name of each bone throughout the hand. The bottom portion that's colored in as purple, okay, these are called the carpal bones. So these are called the carpal bones or the wrist bones, but I need you to know them as carpals. The next section, this group of yellow bones that run through the middle, those are called metacarpals. So be specific in knowing that the carpal refers to the wrist or the hand. The word tarsal, which we'll get to in a few minutes, is the bones of the ankle and the feet. So that'll be a way to keep those straight. This next section, these are called phalanges. And that is the bones of the fingers. So the metacarpals are what run through the palm of your hand. The phalanges are your fingers. Now, on this right side of the diagram, we're going to label the specific name. Okay, so I'm going to switch the color for just a minute. So when we number off the hand, so we know which bone we're talking about, we go number 1 is the thumb, number 2, index, 3 is middle, 4 is ring finger, 5th is pinky. So when we number this, the purpose is so if I said the third metacarpal, somebody would know what I was talking about. If I just say metacarpal, it could be either hand, it could be any of the 5. So we got to be a little bit more specific. So on this right side, we're going to label the 5th of everything. So it's the 5th because it's the pinky finger, but pay specific attention to that as we start discussing it in class or having a conversation about the bones. So the yellow bone at the bottom, okay, is called the 5th metacarpal. So it's within the yellow metacarpal section, and it's the 5th because it's the pinky. We always start thumb is number 1, and then as we move away from the thumb, we get to the 5th finger or the 5th digit, which is the pinky. The green one is going to be the 5th proximal phalange. Next one's going to be the 5th middle phalange. And then on the tip of the pinky finger is going to be the 5th distal phalange. So something to kind of note here is we're using directional terms, so distal and proximal, to describe the location of the phalange. Okay, so just to kind of check our knowledge here, if I mentioned the second middle phalange, that would be that one. If I said something like the first metacarpal, that would be that one. Okay, so that's kind of how I'm going to refer to them in class. So recap real quick. The bones in the fingers are called phalanges. Okay, and so you have 14 phalanges on each hand. Okay, 14. And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's where we're getting 14. Keep in mind the bones of the toes are also called phalanges. So you have technically 56 phalanges in the body, 14 in each hand and then 14 in each foot. Now we're going to transition now into the specific bones of the specific carpal bones. Okay, so right here you've got a list of the carpal bones, and there's a mnemonic. Okay, in class we're going to come up with our own, but this can be one that you could use if you wanted to use it. Okay, so a mnemonic simply just allows you to come up with a sentence that the first letter of the sentence or of each word of the sentence leads you to what the bone would be. So in this case, okay, you can see the mnemonic listed in the carpal bones, and then we're going to go through and make sure we can label out the correct name. So I'm going to start with the her, okay, the one with the H. Okay, so that's going to be the hamate. Okay, the one with the P, which is the smaller one, and we're going to always link it to something else, which we'll discuss in a minute, is called the pisiform. The one that says two, T-O-O, two, is going to be called the triquetrum. The one that looks, the L, is going to be called lunate. The S, or the she, is going to be called scaphoid. Catch, the C in the middle, is going to be called capitate. The tri is going to be called trapezium. And the two next to it is going to be called trapezoid, like the shape. Okay, so once again, if you look back at the mnemonic, each word of the mnemonic starts with a certain letter, and that letter always corresponds to the letter of the name of the bone. And so when in class, like I said, we'll come up with our own mnemonic if this one's not one that you can remember. But it's important to do this, number one, because it helps you remember the letters and kind of leads you to the answer. But it also is beneficial because as you're looking at these bones, pay specific attention to whether we're looking at the front of the hand or the back of the hand. Because with the pisiform and the triquetrum specifically, when you flip the hand over, it almost looks like they shift positions. Okay, so the pisiform is more round, so that might be an indicator for you. Another thing that might be beneficial specifically with the trapezium and the trapezoid is if you look there, okay, that's kind of like thumb, okay? So there's a UM, trapezium, and there's a UM in the word thumb, so that might be a way to keep those two straight. But these are the carpal bones, okay? So for right now, know them as carpal bones. But within about a week, I want to transition from carpal bones into their specific names, okay? And that's what these are: trapezoid, trapezium, capitate, scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform, and hamate.